The unbudget method. Grow wealth without cutting your lifestyle. What if the reason you're not wealthy yet isn't because you spend too much, but because you've been taught to think too small? For years, you've been told that the path to wealth begins with sacrifice. Cut your lifestyle, kill your joy, restrict yourself today so you can live tomorrow. But what if that entire philosophy is broken? What if budgeting harder is actually keeping you stuck? In this video, you're going to discover the unbudget method, a radically different approach to building wealth that doesn't rely on deprivation, guilt, or constant self-denial. Instead of asking, "What should I cut?" you'll learn to ask the question that wealthy people quietly obsess over: how do I expand? This isn't about reckless spending. It's about designing a system where your lifestyle grows because your wealth grows, not in spite of it. A mindset shift that replaces financial anxiety with strategy, scarcity with leverage, and survival thinking with long-term power. If you've ever felt frustrated by budgeting rules that don't match real life, stay with me. This might change how you see money forever. And if you want more insights that challenge conventional wisdom and help you build real sustainable wealth, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because what comes next could be the breakthrough you've been waiting for. Most people will live their entire lives trapped in a quiet financial prison they never knew they entered. A life of constant cutting, constant guilt, constant fear around money, mistaking self-denial for discipline and sacrifice for progress. But today, that cycle ends. What you've just seen isn't a budgeting trick, it's a reprogramming, a shift away from survival thinking into expansion thinking. A reminder that wealth was never meant to feel like punishment, that freedom doesn't come from shrinking your life, but from building systems powerful enough to support it. The unbudget method isn't about spending less, it's about becoming more strategic, more intentional, more valuable. It's about designing a life where money works quietly in the background while you live fully in the foreground. If this video challenged what you've been taught, that discomfort you feel right now is growth knocking. Don't ignore it. Sit with it. Let it reshape how you see money, success, and yourself. If you believe someone you care about is still trapped in the old mindset, share this video. It might be the wake-up call they didn't know they needed. If this message resonated with you, like this video. It tells the algorithm this conversation matters. And if you're ready for more ideas that break illusions, challenge conditioning, and reveal a smarter path to wealth, subscribe to the channel. Because this isn't just content, it's a shift.
7 core principles of the unbudget method. 1. Stop managing expenses, start designing income. Most people are fighting the wrong battle. They wake up every month staring at numbers, asking the same exhausting questions. What can I cut? What can I survive without? What joy do I have to sacrifice this time? And slowly, without realizing it, their life begins to shrink. Not because they're irresponsible, but because they were taught that wealth comes from tightening their grip, not expanding their reach. Here's the truth no one tells you. You cannot budget your way into abundance. You can only manage scarcity for a little longer. The unbudget method flips this entire narrative. Instead of obsessing over where your money goes, it forces you to confront the more powerful question: why isn't more money coming in? Because wealth has never been built by perfect expense tracking. It's built by designing income intentionally, strategically, and repeatedly. When you focus on income design, everything changes. You stop treating money as something fragile that must be protected and start treating it as something dynamic that can be grown. You begin to see opportunities where others see limits. Skills become assets, time becomes leverage, ideas become income streams, and suddenly expenses don't feel like enemies anymore. They become manageable, predictable, even insignificant, because your capacity has grown beyond them. Cutting expenses has a ceiling. Designing income has no limit. One shrinks your life, the other expands it. And once you experience that shift, there's no going back, because you realize you were never meant to live small just to stay afloat. 2. Replace scarcity thinking with expansion thinking. Scarcity is not just a financial condition, it's a mental environment. And once you've lived in it long enough, it starts to feel normal. You begin to measure every decision through fear. What if I run out? What if this fails? What if I can't recover? Money stops being a tool and starts feeling like a threat. This is where most people get stuck, not because they lack opportunity, but because their thinking is trapped in limitation. The unbudget method recognizes a powerful truth. Your financial reality will never outgrow your mindset. Scarcity thinking trains you to protect what you have. Expansion thinking trains you to create what you don't yet have. One is defensive, the other is generative. When you operate from scarcity, every expense feels dangerous, every investment feels risky, and every opportunity feels like a gamble. But expansion thinking reframes the question entirely. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" and start asking, "How do I make this work intelligently?" That single shift unlocks creativity, strategy, and courage. Expansion thinking doesn't ignore risk, it manages it. It doesn't promote recklessness, it promotes capacity building. You begin to think in systems, leverage, and long-term gains instead of short-term survival. You see money as something that can move, grow, and multiply, not something that must be hoarded in fear. And here's the deeper truth. The moment your thinking expands, your options expand. And when your options expand, so does your wealth. This principle isn't about positive thinking, it's about powerful thinking, because abundance doesn't begin in your bank account, it begins in how you decide to see the world. 3. Automate wealth before lifestyle. Willpower is one of the most unreliable tools in personal finance. It fades, it weakens, and when life gets busy, emotional, or overwhelming, it disappears completely. That's why most people don't fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because they rely on discipline instead of design. The unbudget method removes willpower from the equation. Instead of trying to be good with money every month, you automate wealth before lifestyle. This means your future gets paid first, before comfort, before convenience, before impulse. Savings, investments, and growth vehicles are locked in automatically, quietly compounding in the background while you live your life. This is the invisible advantage most people never build. When wealth is automated, decision fatigue disappears. There's no guilt, no second guessing, no constant inner negotiation. Your system is already working for you, whether you're focused or distracted, motivated or tired. And here's the powerful shift. You're not restricting your lifestyle, you're protecting your future self. Automation turns wealth building into a default, not a struggle. It makes progress inevitable instead of optional. The wealthy don't rely on motivation, they rely on systems. And once your system is in place, lifestyle becomes something you enjoy, not something you fight over every month. This is how financial freedom stops feeling fragile and starts feeling inevitable.
4. Spend intentionally, not emotionally. Most money isn't lost through big mistakes, it disappears through unexamined emotions. Stress spending, validation spending, escape spending. Purchases made not because they add value, but because they momentarily numb discomfort. And when the emotion fades, the guilt quietly takes its place. The unbudget method brings awareness to this invisible drain. Intentional spending is not about spending less, it's about spending with purpose. Every dollar becomes a decision, not a reaction. Instead of asking, "Do I want this right now?" you begin asking, "What role does this play in the life I'm building?" Emotional spending seeks relief. Intentional spending seeks alignment. When you spend intentionally, money stops leaking into things that don't matter and starts flowing toward things that compound. Better health, more time, higher income, deeper experiences.
You stop chasing short-term pleasure and start investing in long-term fulfillment. And here's the shift that transforms everything. Once spending is aligned with your values and vision, guilt disappears. You no longer feel the need to justify purchases or punish yourself afterward. Your money begins to feel clean, controlled, and empowering. This principle teaches that financial peace doesn't come from saying no to everything. It comes from saying yes to the right things. 5. Upgrade skills before cutting comforts. Cutting back can only take you so far. You can skip lattes, skip dinners out, or skip a few vacations, but at some point, sacrifices hit a ceiling. You'll reach a limit where every further cut feels like a punishment, and the results barely move the needle. That's the trap most people fall into. The unbudget method flips this script. Instead of shrinking your life, invest in yourself first. Upgrade your skills, expand your knowledge, deepen your expertise, and broaden your network. Skills are assets that compound exponentially, far beyond what simple sacrifice can ever achieve. Every new skill you acquire increases your earning power, creates opportunities, and opens doors money alone cannot buy. This is the ultimate leverage. When you focus on growth before austerity, you stop surviving and start thriving. Comforts don't disappear, they become rewards of your increased value, not casualties of financial discipline. You no longer live in fear of spending. You live in confidence that every investment in yourself multiplies your capacity to earn, create, and influence. Wealth grows faster when your capabilities expand, not when your life contracts. Every skill you master is a step toward freedom, and every step toward freedom makes the old notion of cutting back feel irrelevant. This is the secret most people miss. The richest people aren't the ones who spend less, they're the ones who earn more by being more. 6. Separate survival money from growth money. One of the most dangerous traps in personal finance is mixing survival with growth. When every dollar is treated as sacred for survival, risk becomes terrifying, opportunities feel dangerous, and growth is stifled. Conversely, when growth money is spent like survival money, potential evaporates and your future suffers silently. The unbudget method teaches a simple but profound shift. Clearly separate your survival money from your growth money. Survival money covers your essentials: housing, food, security. It's the safety net that gives you confidence and peace. Growth money, on the other hand, is reserved for opportunities, investments, and calculated risks, the fuel that multiplies wealth instead of just preserving it. This separation changes everything. You can take smart risks without jeopardizing your stability. You can experiment, invest, and innovate with a fearless mindset, knowing the foundation is secure. Growth becomes exciting, not frightening. This principle is a mental game changer. It rewires how you perceive money. It stops fear from paralyzing you and replaces it with strategic confidence. Every dollar now has purpose. Every decision becomes deliberate, and your wealth starts to expand instead of merely survive. When you grasp this, money stops being a source of stress and starts being a tool for freedom, opportunity, and lasting abundance. 7. Let lifestyle rise as a byproduct, not a goal. Most people chase lifestyle as if it's the destination. Bigger houses, newer cars, fancy gadgets. And yet, despite all the accumulation, something always feels missing. Because lifestyle, when pursued as a goal, is fragile. It's dependent on income, markets, trends, and other people's approval. And when it falters, so does your happiness. The unbudget method flips this notion completely. Lifestyle is the reward, not the objective. When you focus on building systems, growing income, upgrading skills, and thinking expansively, lifestyle rises naturally, effortlessly, as a byproduct of your growth. You don't have to chase it, you don't have to fight for it. It arrives as a natural outcome of the work and mindset you've cultivated. This principle frees viewers from the pressure and guilt of keeping up or appearing successful. Comfort, freedom, and abundance no longer feel distant or inattainable. They feel inevitable, earned, and aligned with your deeper purpose. Imagine a life where wealth grows quietly in the background while you live fully in the foreground, where every day feels rich in experiences, security, and possibility, not because you forced it, but because you built a foundation that supports it. Here's the truth to leave with you. Stop chasing lifestyle. Build yourself, build your wealth, and let life's fullness follow naturally. This is where freedom, joy, and abundance finally intersect, effortlessly and sustainably.
You've just walked through a journey that most people never dare to take. A journey beyond sacrifice, beyond restriction, beyond fear. You've discovered that true wealth isn't built by cutting your life into pieces. It's built by thinking bigger, designing smarter, and growing without limits. If you've stayed with me until this moment, thank you, truly. Your willingness to open your mind to a different approach is the first step toward transforming your financial future and your life. Now it's your turn. Reflect on what you've learned. Feel it. Let it shift how you see money, opportunity, and your own potential. And if something in this video resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insight might just inspire someone else to take the leap. If you found this story compelling, like this video to let us know you value content that challenges the norm. Share it with friends, family, or anyone ready to break free from the limits of traditional budgeting. And for more revelations that awaken your mind, disrupt old habits, and show you a smarter path to wealth and freedom, subscribe to the channel, because the journey has only just begun and the best is yet to come. Remember, abundance is not a distant dream. It's a system, a mindset, and a choice. And today, you've taken the first step.